enough people hate you, you're famous now.
This is the B-Team intro song. Ow, that was my foot.
I'm Garrett. That's Million. That's Maisie. That's Riley. Here's what we got to say about a 25-year, quarter-century tattoo club. How cool would this be?
So is it 25-year-olds only?
God, I hope so. Oh my God, I hope so.
25 years of experience, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
20,
yeah.
20, 20, I think 20.
I thought it was 20. Never mind. Yeah, 25.
Oh my. That's a lot of 5-year-olds.
That's
Garrett.
a lot.
That's a lot of 5-year-olds.
5-year-olds.
I'm going to call and see what he thinks of that.
You should do it.
I'm going to do that. I haven't talked to him in a while. And I'm going to call him up and go, dude, what do you think of that? And get his fucking 2 cents. I saw something funny this week. Maybe you guys saw it. It came across my Facebook where somebody said, they said somebody should put on a show that only has 20 and 25-year artists.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the first thing I thought is, well, you've only had 20 to 25 years to figure it the fuck out. Why haven't you?
Yeah.
It's very telling. Very, very telling. But what do you think that would look like?
I think it'd be awesome, actually. I don't think there'd be much for egos there. I think it'd be a bunch of. I think it'd be a really fun time. Actually, I'd fucking be down for that shit.
I think the egos that would show up would be less pronounced. But they'd be looking around, looking at people like, he ain't been doing it for 20 years. And then that in fucking talking about who they think how long. It won't take long for a group to form like that.
I think that the 20, 25-year veterans that are willing to participate in this industry of tattooing are. But I think there's a great deal of them that just simply won't. They could. Any one of them could be at your next tattoo show. They could all be at your next tattoo show. They're not being
for sure.
They're not being forsaken because they've been around for a long time. They're just not participating.
Absolutely.
I from my perspective of doing tattoo shows, producing tattoo shows for the last 14 years, I don't know if I could fill a room full of 20 and 25-year veterans. I don't know if I
think if you sold it as being that there's a measuring stick, and then it's just you have to be able to prove that many years, maybe, or something like that. I think there's a measuring stick. I think you could fill the room, but as long as there was a measuring stick, because too many times you have tattoo shows that say one thing but do another. Like, you can only get into this show if you just apply, you can get in too. So, yeah, if they believe their measuring stick held up, I know you could do it.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Million said. You look at it now, there's a lot of guys our age that don't enjoy doing all these shows. We pick a handful to do, But yeah, I think if something was marketed that way, the old head show or something like that, yeah, I think there's something for it. I really do.
I would get tattooed at that show. That sounds like fun.
I think a lot of fucking people would, actually. I
would.
Maybe.
Especially if you got billed towards tattooers saying, hey, everybody at the show is 20, 25 years plus. I think you'd have a lot of tattooers showing up as
go back and, as far as that goes, for your seminars, you got a needle building seminar, you got a fucking machine building, whatever. Oh, I think people would fucking take that shit, dude. No, I think they would.
I can tell you right now they won't.
No?
I can tell you right now they won't. We could have, we've had machine building seminars at Evergreen before. 2 people showed up, but they're not willing to pay $400 to sit through a 6-hour class on an arcade. I'd have better luck with come to rebuilding a Holley 650 double pumper carburetor for a 69 Camaro than I would for that.
Yeah. I think a lot of those
I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting the art at all. I'm just saying that it's just not a glamorous thing for anybody to go do anymore. Like, we recently had these great machine builders, incredible guys. They built their own machines. They knew what they were doing. Experts in every way, no doubt about it. But when it came time to like, okay, let's formulate the class, they're like, well, it has to be 2 days, it has to be 4 hours a day, and it costs $600. And I'm like, there's no way anyone's doing this. It's
Not during a convention, not if I'm paying for a booth.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe if they kept the machine after they got done building it, maybe, but
No, you're right about the machine thing. I think
it's tough.
long, but needles, you could do needles in an hour.
You could do needles in an hour. Hell yes, you could. But I don't know if anybody would go. I think you would be way better off. I almost dropped a name, but we don't do that on the B team. You would be way better off, and this is what I've hoped to do and what we've done in the past, going and finding a machine company that's very well known to people and having the owner come and talk about the machine company and what they're doing and what their machines do. Maybe there's a little crass commercialism there. Fine. But expert tattooers, listening to other expert machine builders in any case is always going to, spark something. So I would love to have it'd be great if we had a needle manufacturer that was willing to take the time and say, well, let's talk about these needles and why they're like this. Because you guys know as well as I do, there's a lot of expert tattooers that don't know their needles and they don't know the particulars of them. I tattoo with this brand and that's the size I use and that's what they know.
Yeah.
I kind of think that would be the way, but it's like, I've seen it very, very difficult to sell some classes and get stuff off the ground. When I saw that 25 year tattoo show thing, that's, like I said, the first thing I thought is I was like, oh, you guys have had 25 years to do one. What are you waiting for? Like, why does someone have to do it? What are we waiting for? But then I started thinking about the particulars of it. Like, would that be kind of cool? Yeah, it would be kind of cool. Like, is it possible? I don't know. I don't know if it is possible.
Riley, were you at the first APT conference or was it the second?
I was at the second. Are you talking about the one in Vegas?
I was at the one in Kansas City the very first year.
Okay. When they went to Vegas, I went to all of them in Vegas. I never went to the ones on the east side of the America.
Well, I didn't do the Vegas ones. I assume they're the same format. You had Pat Sinatra and all this. They were. Sean Anderson was doing large stencil layout.
Yeah.
Thaddeus Paskey, his apprentice, did a needle building.
Sure.
One guy was teaching about Gorilla ink. Making Gorilla ink.
Well, out here we had John Montgomery making ink. He was making pigment right with us and showing us all of his secrets, which was super.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is how many people were out there for that when you were in Vegas that second year, would you say?
75.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'd say there's probably about 45.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was
50
really
here.
good out here on the West Coast.
Yeah. So, point being is I think it could be marketed, kind of like that. It would be interesting. It really would be interesting.
Well, that's true. Something like that. Now, a tattoo show proper where they had booths and people were tattooing, that may not work for a 25 year veteran thing, but a seminar or educational seminar might work for it. That might be possible. Get the old geezers together, push them down the fucking stairs kind of thing. That'd be good. But it is true. Like those APT classes back in the day, they were pretty fun. Some of them were pretty outdated and hokey too, but some of them actually, made me feel really, really, really good, and helped me with a lot of cool things, and some of them were kind of way ahead of their time, to tell you the truth. There was a guy that talked about rotary versus coil machines. And this was 10 years ago when rotaries were just kind of coming out in the market and doing their thing. Cheyenne had just kind of come out with the Hawk and things. It was very controversial. And he tattooed with coil machines for 20 years at that point and had switched over to rotary machines. And everybody that went into that class was ready for this kind of confrontation, and they didn't get that. This guy was like, I've tattooed with coil machines my whole life. I was never going to switch to a coil or to a rotary. You'd never get me there. But I fell off my motorcycle and I broke my wrist. And then when I got to where I could tattoo again with coils, it was too difficult. So he switched to a rotary and now he's tattooing. And it was like, those were the kind of things back then that were very, very controversial. Somebody just openly advocating for that, and then you'd have the Jack Rudy class, where it started out like a tattoo class, but really it was just kind of him having fun with everybody. And those were always good classes because it was like, did I learn a lot about tattooing? Absolutely. But did I learn a lot about tattooing technically? Not at all. Not one bit. We didn't talk about style. We talked about fun stuff. So,
What's an APT class?
the APT it used to be the Association for Professional Tattooers. Okay, I get it. Is that too deep?
No, that was helpful.
Does that answer your question, Maisie?
I learned something.
Yeah.
I learned something, and I appreciate you guys letting me ask questions and going on sidebars and stuff like that because I'm learning. But we can pivot back to 25-year-old convention
Okay.
grounds.
Okay.
Let's go there.
Let's suppose we did. Let's have fun.
Okay. Little play pretend game, right?
Let's play pretend. Let's play pretend tattoo stuff. How big would this show be? Would it be a smaller show, bigger show?
Depends on where you put it. I would say you'd have to start out pretty small. What's the amount of what percentage of tattooers out there do you think have 25 years plus and would still attend something like that and fully support it?
A very, very small amount.
Less than 5%, I would guess.
Way less. A very, very, very small amount of artists would probably do that. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
We're in a weird dynamic, too, because, this reminds me a lot of when me and Josh were in Idaho walking through the tattoo show, and the 20-year-old kid came over to us and said, "Man, it's really great to see you old timers here." And Josh lost his shit. Josh is like, "Old? I'm 45 years old, motherfucker. I'm not," And I was like, whoa. But at 45 years old, he was a 20-some-year veteran of tattooing, which is something that's alien to our generation, not to yours, but to ours. That's very alien. The 20-year veterans they didn't start tattooing until they were 30, So I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty small amount.
You got, there are a lot of these big names, though,
Why aren't they at tattoo shows now?
Well,
Yeah, so part of the reason why they're not at those tattoo shows is because they can make more money staying at home, and unless you're paying them to be there because they're a crowd draw, then why go?
Look, we do the Evergreen show, right? It's a pretty good show. We're very proud of it, and it's a lot of fun, and we work really hard at it. I could give you guys a list of names. I won't, but I could give you a list of names. I could call 3 people right now on the phone live, like famous, world-renowned tattoo artists that we all know and respect. And I could be like, "Hey, we'd really love to have you at the Evergreen show." And they're going to go, "Great. I'm going to need airfare and a hotel, and I'm going to need a free booze." That's the first thing. That's the reason that you don't see them at our show, is because we've had some of them that go, "Yeah, I need $7,000. Yeah, you got to pay me $7,000 to come to the show." That's why you don't see them at our show. That's why you don't see them at any of these shows, because nobody wants to pay them $7,000 to come to the show. So it's like, so I think that would be the first obstacle you run across, is that they're like, "Yeah, I don't go to a show unless you pay me and take care of everything." And that's why you don't see them at shows. Shows can't afford to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So they're just not doing it.
I can see that totally. But I also think that if it was, honestly, I think if it was marketed right, and it was marketed that it was only 25 and up, I think you'd see a different response. I think a little bit different response. I really do. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
I have a speculation off air that just maybe once you're at 20, 25 years, if you're not interested in going to shows and stuff like that, maybe it's because you have the clientele that you want to have, you're comfortable, maybe you're not getting the community or the fun aspect out of it. Because for a lot of us, the tattoo shows are really just to hang out with our friends, learn something, have a good time, take a trip. So for maybe these 20, 25-year tattoo artists that have enough, they're not really maybe looking for more publicity. Maybe they're not looking to make a bigger name. And so I think it would need to be the type of thing where they would really have to want to be giving back. I think it would have to be a selfless act. And the people that would attend something like that would be people who are at the point in their career where they're wanting to pass on knowledge and help people as opposed to like profit or win a prize, win a competition, anything like that. It would have to be, I imagine, something that's very selfless.
There's a different, it would have to be that way. They would have to look at it like a community affair.
It could be a lot of fun.
It could be a lot of fun. It could be a lot of trouble too.
Probably.
20 years could be a lot of fucking enemies, I'll tell you. You know,
People would feel excluded.
well, but they might very well be hating each other. I don't know.
That too.
Yeah, that's there's probably some old cans of worms there. That, you know,
Bad blood.
Ding, ding. Here we go.
yeah.
Well,
Round one.
It would be the first tattoo show that closed at 6:00 at night because we're all too tired. We want to take a day. I just want to go to dinner and go to bed. You know, so the hours are from noon to 6 with a customary half an hour nap at 3:00.
I was just talking with a client whose wife is a doctor, and they went down to the Bahamas for a medical conference. You know, and I was like, you know, that's one thing that tattoo industry when we have a conference, it's kind of like slam as much as you can in a couple days and don't really see anything,
Right.
and then fly back home. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a like 4 hours each morning for like 3-4 days and then back home.
No.
It's bam bam.
Well, that's because we're trying to make money. You know, that's the difference.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
Doctors are paid.
arguing it, but
You know, yeah.
If you were doing a 20-25 year tattoo show, just from the promotion standpoint of it that I know of, you would have to have a gimmick. So the only way you could make it work is if you had a gimmick. There would have to be a reason for these people to come.
Hosted at Disneyland.
No, it'd be too expensive. I was just at Disneyland and I've already done the number. Unaffordable at best. Or I would do it. No, it would have to have a gimmick. And
The Quarter Century Club.
yeah,
So
it'd have to have something else. There would have to be a reason for them to all get together. You know, it would have to be an event. It couldn't just be a show.
Yeah.
It would have to be an event. And I don't think it could be a traditional tattoo show. I don't think that would be possible. It would be more like when the old pro wrestlers get together at an armory and you go and have them sign merchandise and get pictures.
yeah.
You know, maybe for the most part. Because if you didn't have a certain amount of that star power there, it wouldn't work. It really wouldn't work. You know, and we've done that kind of thing before where it's like, we need star power in the room so we get artist X, Y, and Z. And that's just part of the promotion, you know?
Okay.
But that also is a big reason why people, you know, you've been doing this a long time like I have. There were plenty of shows that I went to because I saw that so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so were going. And I was like, oh, hell, I got to be there, right? So it'd have to be the same thing. In order to get a room of 20 and 25-year veterans, you'd have to get the right 10 veterans.
Yeah.
You'd have to get the right 10 veterans, and then you'd have to get each one of them and go, look, help me fill this room with your buddies. Right? And they go, hell yeah, I'll call, you know, whoever the hell, and we'll get them out, you know. But as far as like, I think it'd be really rough. It'd be really, really rough to get guys there. It would be super, super tough. Well, what about the other way? What if we did a tattoo show where you could only, if you tattooed more than 3 years, you couldn't go?
a newbie show?
3 and under. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
chaos.
Called the nursery. Nursery with needles. Would it? Would it be chaos? You could,
You know,
you would have to market it the same
Yeah.
way. You would market it as like, these are the freshest talent. You wouldn't say these are the newest guys with the least experience. You would say this is the freshest talent tattooing has to offer. And then you'd have to gimmick it because you'd be like, come and see Maisie and so-and-so from YouTube and so-and-so from Game of Thrones. Because you see how it mixes together? If we were doing the 25 and older show, it would have to be, you know, the quarter century tattoo show filled with the most experienced tattoo artists in the world with 5,610 years of tattooing behind them, sponsored by Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
It would have to be like, brought to you by Coors, whatever, and monster trucks.
I was out in Ohio by Hip's shop out there last year, the year before, and there was talk of someone they were going to put on, and I don't know how much of this is true or how much I dreamed and imagined is real. I'm not sure, but I thought I saw something about $100 tattoo show. There was not a single tattoo that was more than $100. Everything was $100, and in order to be a part of this show, you had to agree to that.
That was an
Bangers
actual
only.
that was going to happen. Yeah.
Yep.
I can tell you for a fact that was on the table.
What happened?
Okay.
It fizzled out. The guy couldn't put it together. And I honestly thought that was brilliant.
It is.
Really?
How many people would go to that?
Yeah.
Yep. You would
There's
sell
lines around the block just at the local brewery that they have a shop that sets up the Brewhalla doing Brew Holidays, and it's all under $100 tattoos, but they're lined out the door,
I've thought of that.
standing in the parking lot waiting to get in.
The thing was, the guy was like, we're going to do a tattoo show where the tattoos are $100. They're not $80 or $50. They're not $125.
They're
They're
$100.
just $100. And a couple of things happened. One, the cost of putting on a show is so astronomically high that killed it off before it even started. Because most people aren't willing to put $75, $85, or $100,000 on the table hoping to just recoup their money. That's a big gamble. That's a huge, huge gamble to put together. Two, fill in the room.
Yeah.
Filling the room was a lot harder than they thought when they were like, well, I'll get plenty of artists. They'll come and stuff like that. But you guys know how it is. You go to a show, it's economics. So you've got your flight, you've got your hotel, you've got your expenses, you've got your time away from your work, then you got your booth you got to pay for, licensing, whatever business stuff that has to go along, supplies. Before you know it, you're $3,000-4,000 into just recouping the money that it costs to leave.
Yeah.
Well, how many $100 tattoos is that? 40? You do 40 $100 tattoos before you even break even, make a nickel? That's tough. That's hard.
Yeah.
So, when the economics caught up with them, I still think it's a good idea. But economically,
It would be
boy.
really cool to do that, like on a smaller scale, locally or something like that, wherever you're located. I think that would be widely successful. I
Yeah.
also think it would be really cool to judge a show like that,
yeah,
because you would have to be so technically tight with your pieces if they're on the smaller scale. And that, I think it would be cool.
In an instance like that, I don't think if it were my show, I wouldn't allow a competition. I wouldn't allow it.
I don't think you need it.
No, because this would be a show that's for the customer,
Yeah.
And the thing is, honestly, customers, really, what are you going to win with $100 tattoo? And then you've got people like saying, "Oh, well, I did a full sleeve, but I only charged $100." You take, that's kind of taken away from the concept. But at least here at the shop, for example, I'd rather tattoo $100 tattoos than $1,000 tattoo.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
A, it's going to take me less time. B, we referred to this once before. I'm going to make more money because now I have 10 referrals instead of one. So it's kind of that concept. You said it'd be tough to get a lot of people there, but if you did it more on a local level, I think you could have a really good turnout. It doesn't have to be 100 booths. It could be fucking 20 booths. And I think it could work. But so yeah, you're both right, Maisie.
So
How are you doing, Maisie?
Did you guys ever do any charity shows back in the day? Because I used to do charity shows, and I haven't seen one in 10 years. Did you ever do that where you would go? You didn't pay for a booth. They gave you a booth. He said, well, they would call and go, "Riley, I'm giving you 2 booths. I need you to staff them out." And I'd go, "No problem. I'll get 4 of my guys, 6 of my guys were on the motherfucker." And we would go there, and you would tattoo, and then you would give them 30% of what you made.
No.
You ever did a charity show? I did it like 3 or 4 back in the day, and they were some of my favorites. They were strictly for charity. They were nonprofits. Yeah. So they'd front the money for the booths. They'd put everything together. They'd advertise. They didn't charge at the door. It was free to come in the show.
Cool.
And all the artists, they didn't pay for their booth, but they gave 30% of what they made. They gave to the house, and the house donated every bit of it to a local charity.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's dope.
it was pretty cool. And so what they did is, it was a little bit easier to produce those shows, I think, back in the day, because you would go to the convention center or wherever you were going to do it, and you were going to say, look, I'm doing this charity thing. We're trying to raise money for the kids. Give us a break. And they'd be like, great, we're not doing anything. These shows were usually like Tuesday and Wednesday, by the way. They were never on the weekend. So the convention center's like, well, we got nothing going in the middle of the week. And they're like, great, we'll take Tuesday and Wednesday. So that was the only downfall, is you'd be like, well, you're tattooing Tuesday and Wednesday. And then they would just get everything comped as much as they could. And then they would look for sponsors for the rest of the stuff. They'd be like, we need pipe and drape. We need 12 grand. And they would start going to company and go, donate us the money for it. And it's a charity. We'll give you the tax. Yeah. It had to have been a hell of a lot of work to put one on, but it was great. And it was like, you usually were pretty busy, and the trouble was off you. And it really felt good to, fucking make some money for somebody. But you mentioned awards, and that was the funniest thing, because like they didn't do tattoo comparison awards. They would be like, who did the most tattoos in the room? They would give you a little sheet and you would fill it out. I did a tattoo, I did another, this is what you did. You did it as you went, and every day they would collect it. They'd be like, Garrett did 15 tattoos, so he gets the award for most tattoos of the day. And then who donated the most money on Friday? Oh, Million donated his 30%. It was $800. He gets a trophy for that. So you would get trophies for your merit, which I thought was super fun.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Amazing. It's about giving to people. I know it's a foreign concept to you, but some people do help each other once in a while.
Always the taker.
Yeah, well, she'd be like, "Oh, you want 30%? Here's your $2."
Do I get a plaque for that? Least amount donated?
Yeah, you're not getting invited back yet, lady. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that have changed over the years, and it's like, I think prices have gone up so high, and marketing's changed so much, and the environment's changed so much that we'll probably never see some of the things we used to see, like nationals where guys would go and compete like that, or some of the tattoo shows would have like a formal dinner. Remember that stuff? You would, like, Friday you would go and you'd meet everybody, and then Saturday you'd tattoo, and then Sunday it was like a formal dinner and award ceremony. Like, I don't know if you'll ever see that again. I don't know if it's possible to see that again. I just went to the seminar a couple weeks ago about conventions, where we talked about convention stuff, where prices on things have went up 300%, 400%. And, there was a lady there that was talking about they've had a convention in their town for 10 years, and they're seeing people not show up because they're not getting supported by any corporate entities anymore. And so they really started going the other direction and going like, if you don't support these local entities, if you don't support these things, they're not going to be here very long, because that's how they feel about it. And I think that's where we're going with tattooing. Like, if you don't start supporting tattoo shows and start supporting different entities of tattooing, they're not going to be here. They're going to go, and I think that I'm not a class warrior, but the corporate entities that have the power really, really want that. And for our show, we don't give a shit if we have sponsors or not. It doesn't mean anything to us. We don't need them. We built our entire show around the idea of not ever needing a sponsor or that corporate money. It's not an entity that is part of our financial budgeting. But for a lot of shows, it was. The money they got from sponsorships, they worked on sponsorships all year round to pay the bills. And now they don't have them, so they're on the rocks. So, yeah, they're on the rocks, You couple that with the price increase. I mean, how would it be with your tattoo companies that you had if your needle prices and your ink prices went up 300% right now? That would be a hard gap to fill. Yep. That'd be a hard gap to fill. Well,
we talked about...
Million said you didn't want any women at the show, so...
Oh, shit.
It doesn't really matter if you hear any.
Garrett, I'm sorry, you can't come. I'll fill in.
No, not Midwest. I said women.
So we talked about conventions today. That was kind of all over the place. So for anyone watching, we are now on Apple Music, which very soon is going to be having videos. So if you don't like YouTube, you can watch our videos on Apple Music. We are also on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, all that fun stuff under the V Team Tattoo Podcast. And
So
if you-
follow us.
Yeah, follow us. And if you've got questions or comments or shit to say, you can email us at the B-Team or is it B-Team Tattoo Podcast at gmail.com? B-Team Tattoo Podcast at gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email.
Nobody cares. They're not going to email anyways. It's fine.
Who really fucking cares, honestly?
This is filled with Flavorade.
Yeah, literally.
Drink the Flavorade.
What's that?
You're worth
What do you
millions.
have? there?
Flavorade.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, I have flavor in
Full
my
of
one.
Flavorade.
Yeah, I love that. Is it
Drink
Um,
the Flavorade.
What's our
All
what's
our
our
followers should drink our Flavorade.
I
And
don't think anyone
jump on the
wants to
spaceship that
He's
sends
trying
us
to
off.
brainwash people now. Look at it. He
Yeah.
thinks we're cold. Listen, calm down.